The following is an encore presentation of stories from the Dooralong Transformation Centre.
If you were listening just before the 10 o'clock news, you would have heard me chatting very briefly to Jason, who's with us from the Dooralong Transformation Centre. Jason is a local lad. He was born and brought up on the Central Coast at Gorican, so he didn't have far to go to get to Dooralong. But I suppose the question we want to sort of explore with Jason is why he had to go to Dooralong in the first place. Why? What's your issue, Jason?
I became an alcoholic pretty much overnight. Long story short, my mother, which was my best friend, she passed away, and at the hospital, standing across the bed from my father, he pretty much jumped my mother's body to grab me by the throat and accuse me of killing her of a broken heart. As I said, she was my best friend, so to have lost my best friend and be accused
being responsible
of taking her life emotionally destroyed me.
Yeah. So up until that point in your life, it was, in inverted commas, a normal life. Certainly alcohol wasn't ruling your life.
No, definitely not.
But at that point, it was so traumatic that
I found solace in the bottom of the schooner glass.
Yeah. And how long then did it take before it became more than just a coping mechanism to being an addiction?
Pretty much instantaneously.
Yeah.
My ability to feel and deal with emotion was just stripped away in that moment.
It's funny, isn't it? Well, it's not funny at all. But we need to remember that people's lives can change in a moment. And it was just that, 2 or 3 minutes in that hospital ward when you're accused of being responsible for your mum's death, that your whole life completely turned around and went downhill.
That's right.
In a moment.
That's right.
Yeah. Before then, functioning normally?
Yeah. Holding down a job, and I've got 6 beautiful children. They mean the world to me, but when you think back about being in addiction, you don't recognise it as such, which saddens me at times. But
so you didn't realise, now you say you're in addiction, but at the time you weren't aware of that?
No, I thought I was really good as a dad, but recognising that not just wanting to feel the negative emotion and the negative pain also blocked out the acceptance of the positive. As much as I always told them that I loved them, I'm not really sure that I showed them appropriately.
Yeah, so your words or your actions didn't match your words?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So you must have thought back and asked yourself what you could have done that would have sort of not led to an alcohol addiction? Something different?
Yeah, there's probably plenty of things I could have done different. I try not to lament on the past. I've grown since being at Dooralong to become of the belief that you don't take today's stuff into tomorrow.
Yeah. What's happened.
That's right.
You can't undo it.
And as you work the steps, you get to a point of you've just got to let it go.
Yeah. So there you are. You become an alcoholic. You said almost immediately.
Yep.
So what did that look like for you? If we were looking in at your life at Jason at that time, what would we see?
You would see me opening my eyes, walking straight to the fridge to grab a beer.
First thing,
as soon as I opened my eyes.
Yeah.
Counting how many I had and then figuring out in the scope of the day where I could fit in getting more.
So your first thought wasn't your kids or your job or your career, it was, have I got enough drinks to get through the day?
Correct.
And was that not sounding an alarm bell for you?
In the moment, no. No, because it was my existence. I worked a job for a while in a nursing home, and I had like a 20-minute drive to go to work. And I'd stashed like 6 or 7 beers in the car to drink on the way to work.
6 or 7 minutes, 6 or 7 in that 20-minute drive?
Yeah.
It's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Must take its toll on your body physically, I would think, as well as emotionally.
Yeah, one would think so, but luckily enough it really hasn't taken a toll on my body, fortunately.
Yeah. And all this just to block out the emotional pain of what your dad said to you?
Yes.
So instead of getting grief counselling, you sort of decided to self-medicate yourself?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And having spoken to my father since being in program about the situation, it came to a point where he said, "You know what, mate? I don't remember saying that, so just get over it."
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it wasn't that simple in the time.
No. I would have found that hard to accept, that something which had changed my life forever sounded as if it was just a throwaway remark in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
But for me, my life will never be the same again.
It was a defining moment.
A defining moment.
That lasted 13 years.
Okay, well, we don't want to sort of stay in that doom and gloom. At what point did you decide to get some help? And was there a trigger where you sort of had a sort of revelation and thought, look, I must do something about this?
Yeah, a couple of revelations. One of my daughters, she was 9 years old, she's now 11, said to me, "Dad, why do you need to be drunk to go to bed every night?" An innocent comment from a child.
Yeah.
But that really hit home, and that in that moment, and I was going through a lot of trouble with my wife at the time, and it made me have a good hard look, and I tried to do it on my own. I went to Wyong Hospital, did a 3-day detox. Thought, I'm sweet, I've got it from here.
In 3 days you're cured.
Yeah. I got myself into it, I've got the willpower to get out, and naively and pig-headedly I thought I had all the answers. But that didn't last, obviously.
Because that emotional trauma was still there, wasn't it?
Correct. I didn't do meetings. I saw a drug and alcohol counsellor, but
yeah,
I was very...
I was going to say, and I hope you don't take this the wrong way, Jason, but is there some sort of... Is it a little bit of arrogance, thinking, I beat it, I can do this, I got myself into this mess, I can jolly well get myself out of it, and I can do it?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Not wanting to ask for help.
Look, I thought I was everything, no one could help me unless I helped me. I had my own will, and that was what defined me. There was at that point in my life, there was nothing above me.
So I'm guessing after that 3-day detox at Wyong Hospital, things went bad for you again.
Yeah, after about 3 months, I think it was.
Well, that's quite a long time.
I thought, foolish, I can just have one.
Yeah.
At a barbecue, I'll just have one.
Yeah, just be sociable.
One turned into 6, which turned into 10, which...
Back to square one.
Got me deeper in than I was before.
So when, from somebody who sounds as if you've tried to do it all on your own, when did you actually turn to somebody and say, I need help, can you help me please?
At the time, my wife and I had separated, and when we separated, she was afraid for my emotional state on what it would do if she left, as well as take the children. So through the kindness of her heart, she left the children with me to give me a drive and a purpose, in the hope that I would go down this path. And through that time I did engage in a lot of services to get help within that situation, one of which I relied heavily on was the Oasis Centre at Wyong.
Yeah, I know that, yes.
Used to do a lot of shopping there to be frugal on the budget, and got to talking to a few different people, Dawn and Chris, who's now out at Dooralong, who used to impress upon me the importance of living a clean and sober life, along with my local GP, who it turns out is the GP at Dooralong.
Yeah.
Which is rather strange.
Series of coincidences are about to happen, aren't they?
Yeah, and then it became a serious consideration, because it wasn't getting better.
No.
And I could start to see my children suffering.
And that was the trigger to reach out.
Yeah.
So the Oasis Centre, that's run by the Salvation Army.
Yes, it is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So they suggested Dooralong. Were you open to that immediately?
Through discussing it with my wife at the time, I was open to rehab in general. It just so happened that the reputation of Dooralong precedes itself.
Yeah.
You know, besides the fact that I'm not a believer in... I did become an addict overnight, but it lasted some time. And through my previous experience, I knew I wasn't going to be cured overnight.
Yeah.
You know, and as said in the lead-up, I've been there pretty much 8 months now.
Yeah.
Which has taken some time and a lot of inward looking.
Yeah.
Realisations and, you know, prayer and meditation and...
Yeah. And so this is where you find yourself in 2 weeks' time. You say you're graduating.
Yeah.
That's super.
Yeah.
Talking to Jason this morning, one of our guests from the Dooralong Transformation Centre. We were talking about the incident which led him into addiction, how it took hold of his life almost immediately, that addiction, but how he found his way to Dooralong through the Oasis Centre at Wyong. And so you found yourself turning up with Dooralong about 6 months ago.
Yeah. Oh, it's closer to 8 months.
8 months.
Yeah.
So you're a different man now than you were then?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you go into Dooralong. You'd been to Dooralong before, though, hadn't you? Once, not as a
child.
Yeah.
When it was the lodge.
Yeah.
For one of my grandparents' wedding anniversary.
Yeah, because it was a function centre, 5-star function centre, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And you still got the swimming pool.
Yes.
And you still got the air-conditioned little cabins in amongst the bush. So, but much more serious side to it.
Yes, definitely.
Was it hard the first few days?
To use a food analogy, walking in there I felt like a scared little kumquat in a sea of grapefruit.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It was, terrifying.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. Why?
Going into Dooralong, I had a fair amount of social phobia, and to walk into a property with 140 odd other addicts, recovering addicts, was a bit daunting. You know, there's a lot of personalities.
And those personalities have issues, don't they? And so they might blow up for no reason to do with you, but...
That's right.
You know, these people are on a journey, and so, it would be confronting.
Yes, it is. Look, being a very non-confrontational person, situations do get out of hand.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we understand.
Although, having said that, I've been there, like I said, nearly 8 months, and I've not seen one physical altercation.
Yeah. And they give you a mentor, don't they, when you first go in? Or there's a mentor made available?
They're not so much made available, but the community is very supportive of each other.
Yeah.
You very quickly find, well, not that you go looking, but you very quickly mingle with people that are there on your own level. Like I was fortunate enough that within a couple of hours being there, a couple of fellas, Shorty and Paulie Morris, put me under their wing and showed me around, and it was really amazing. They helped me out a lot.
And that's what you're able to do for new guys coming in now.
Correct, yeah.
Pay that on.
You know, like within the premise of NA or AA, your hand is to be stretched out to anyone else in need.
Yeah.
And I'm more than happy to be that person for anyone, because I would like every addict to be in the place that I'm at right now. You know?
Must be hard for a guy with social anxiety, social phobias, to go to some of the sort of group therapy sessions they have and sort of open up and be totally honest with yourself and with the other participants.
I would have thought so, but within the structure of those and the sharing, you can't help but be impressed to share your own. like all those meetings and that we have, when you listen to other people share, it opens your heart, and you want to share yourself and how you're going and how you feel, hoping that people can take something from what you've got.
Yeah.
Because we don't all go down the same road.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you've got 20 blokes in a room, you can take a little bit from what everyone said, and that can make one big thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
How long was it before you allowed yourself to hope that this might be the answer for you, being at Dooralong?
You know, the program's focused on the 12 steps. I probably, within the last 500 metres of the bus trip to the gates of Dooralong, resigned myself to the first two. You know, I knew that I was powerless, and
so is that the first step?
Yes,
yeah.
is to realise that you're powerless over your addiction,
yeah,
and your life's become unmanageable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was powerless, and no, I wasn't manageable as much as I thought I was.
Fact of life.
That's right. And then the second step is, you know, be willing to give your will and your life over to the care of God.
Yeah.
To progress forward. I knew I didn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
You know,
in your own power, you couldn't do this.
That's right. I went through those gates a resistor when it came to spirituality.
Yeah.
In my childhood, I grew up in a very strict Mormon family. So religion was a very strong part of my upbringing.
Was that very rule-based?
Yes. And unfortunately, I couldn't separate the difference between
religion,
spirituality and religion.
Yeah. Number of guys that have said exactly the same thing that you have said.
So although I've now become to realise that I always was rather spiritual, I still don't succumb to the structure of religion. Yeah.
Yeah. There is this danger, isn't there? We do confuse religion with God, and when Jesus walked the earth, he was, I won't say he was anti-religious, because that sounds awful, but he wasn't much for the structures of the established church, was he? In fact, he used to have a go at them for some of the things that they did, and yeah. So,
as it says in the Bible, where two or more gather in my name, I'll be present.
Yeah. So it was a bit of an eye-opener for you then, I'm guessing, the first sort of chapel night that you went to on a Wednesday evening.
Yeah, I did go in with a pretty negative mindset.
You thought you were going to be preached at.
Yeah, but it's not like that at all. You know, it's more like going to a spoken word type of event, you know?
Yeah.
We talk about life and the way it is.
Real life.
Real life.
Yes. Yeah. As the listeners know, a number of us from Rima, we went to one of your chapel nights, and you had a local pastor from one of the local sort of Salvation Army churches come to deliver his message. I hope he doesn't mind if he's listening. If I say there wasn't a huge amount of theology in there, but it was very real. It was how do I live my life in the real world, and the real world can be a nasty place at times.
That's right.
And that message clearly resonated with the people there.
And look, having said that, being a resistor, I'm now a rather spiritual person. I've been through a couple of really profound God experiences since I've been there.
Coming from a Mormon background, and I must say I don't know a lot about it other than what I've seen on TV, which sometimes might be right, sometimes might be wrong, but their conception of God, it's not the conception that we Christians have.
We still use the King James Bible.
Do you?
So essentially,
the foundations.
Although they have modern day texts, the foundation of the Bible is still a King James Bible.
So that was all familiar to you?
Yes.
The parables and the resurrection and everything?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you go along to the chapel night. Would you say that your spirituality has matured during your time at Dooralong?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
I was one night sitting in my cabin. It's not something I've told a lot of people, but...
Nobody's listening. Go on, Jason.
I'll let it out there. I was sitting in my cabin one night working through my step 6.
Tell us what step 6 is.
Oh, now you got me.
Oh, I'll put him on the spot now. Anyway, you were sat in your cabin.
I was working through my step 6, and I fell asleep while doing that. Within my sleep, I dreamed about being baptised. And as within the dream, as my body resurfaced the water, I awoke from my sleep. Now, I was asleep on the lounge, fully clothed. I was wet from head to toe.
Wow.
But the lounge I was sitting on was dry.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no other explanation that something spiritual's happened.
Exactly
we know
right.
it's God happened.
Yes. Yeah, most definitely.
How can you ignore something like that? You can't just walk away from that, can you?
You can't. You can't. Like, since being at Dooralong, nearly daily I have what I would call spiritual affirmation, whether it be through the Just for Today reading or the message at chapel or the group you're doing during the day. It always hits the nail on the head. Something you've been through within the last 24 hours, it always hits home.
Speaks directly to you in the here and now.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So you'll be going out to one of the local Salvos churches?
Yeah, I go to Long Jetty.
Yes. Quite a few guys go there, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there are others, Bonnells Bay, etc., but Long Jetty is your church family.
It is, yeah. Andrew and Melissa are amazing.
Yeah. They are the pastors there, are they?
Yeah.
And again, from what you were saying earlier, it's a real message for real people living a real life.
Exactly right.
Yeah, and that's what you need. That's the help that you need.
Yeah, that's right.
So...
Well, I now find myself looking at a mid-year enrolment in theology and pastoral care.
Yeah, wow. You've taken... I'm taken aback now. So tell us more about that. What's that about?
As I say, through the spiritual affirmations, it's been impressed upon me that that's the road I need to go down. I need to study and then share my experience, share what's happened to me, let people know that spirituality is real, faith is real.
Yeah.
You know,
and if they have preconceived ideas of the church and preachers wagging their finger and reading out lists of rules, forget those and just give it a go.
That's it.
Yeah. So where are you going to be doing your studying?
It's still up in the air at the moment.
It's exciting, this.
Yeah. I'm still trying to nut all that out, but within the next few months I'm just going to be working on within the chef industry.
Yeah.
And staying out at the Erina House project, which is a continuing care plan from Dooralong.
If somebody had said to you 12 months ago, you've been at Dooralong 8, if somebody said to you 12 months ago that in 12 months' time, Jason, you'll have been to a spirit-based rehab and you will be thinking of enrolling on a theology course, what would you have said to them?
I would have laughed and said, you're kidding yourself.
Yeah. Nah, not going to happen.
Nah.
Forget it.
You know how anti-religious I am, is what I would have said.
Yeah. God had other ideas.
Yes.
I mean, it was almost the way that you arrived at Dooralong, and things were lined up, that you went to the Oasis Centre not to seek help for rehab, but because they sold food at reasonable prices and they have programs for your kids, and it's a good resource. And then you meet Chris there.
Yep.
And then your doctor, your local GP, unknown to you, also happens to be the GP from Dooralong.
Yep.
You can see God's hand in this from the get-go.
That's right. And I happened to be at Westfield with my wife at the time, and we bumped into Craig Stevens,
who was a previous major there.
Yep. And I'd never met the man, but stood there in the food court at Westfield and spoke to him for 45 minutes to an hour. And the one thing I took away from that conversation is he said to me, by going to Dooralong, mate, you'll be able to get peace in your soul. When have you ever felt peace in your soul? And I stood there and thought about it.
It's very powerful, isn't it?
And I had to answer him, never.
Never had peace.
I've always felt in a turmoil. But now I'm at a place of peace.
And there's no price you can put on that.
No.
Well, the price has been paid for us by Christ, but...
Yes.
Yeah. We're still talking to Jason for the Dooralong Transformation Centre. He was talking very powerfully about some of those affirmations that he received from God whilst he's been at Dooralong, and particularly that incident he talked about of the dream and the vision, and then of baptism, and him waking up wet, clothes wringing wet, but the sofa, couch, whatever, completely dry. So you had that affirmation, Jason, that this is exactly where God wants you. You're in the right place.
Most definitely.
So you're in the right place now. You've got another couple of weeks maybe till you graduate. I think you said another 2 weeks, is it?
Yeah, 2 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. What does life hold for you after? What have you put in place for when you graduate from Dooralong?
Well, I'll be going to the Air in a House project, which is a continuing care program, part of the Dooralong program.
Yes.
So that's a 6-month
placement there.
Placement, which is to help you get back into the swing of life.
Yeah, and where there's a support worker there to help with any issues that arise.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, they still hold you accountable for your sobriety.
Yeah.
Which keeps you in check.
Yeah. And what about a career? Will you return to your trade, to your profession as a chef?
In the short term, yes. But I don't plan to do that forever. As I previously mentioned, I'm going to study theology and pastoral care.
Yeah, that's super.
And essentially, Chris Edwards is such an inspiration to me.
This is Chris, who's at Dooralong. Listeners may remember we spoke to Chris and his wife on the radio. It must have been about 6 months ago. And Chris has been through the program.
Correct.
He works there now, but he has been through the program.
Yeah, look, I would like to do something like what he does.
Yeah.
You know,
giving back.
Yeah, giving back. I had a meeting with the continuing care guy there the other day, and the way I put it to him is I want to be a spiritual recovery, what did I call it? A spiritual recovery assistant. What?
Yeah.
Someone to help people going through their recovery realise that spirituality is not so daunting.
No. That they are both, we talk about mind and body, but we're spirit as well.
That's right.
Yeah, we're physical beings, we're emotional beings, but the side that everybody seems to ignore is their spiritual side, but it's there.
That's right, and the soul is such a powerful thing. That's right.
Yeah. One thing you said there worried me a little bit, Jason. You said you were going back to be a chef for at least a little while, but then I remember that you were saying earlier on that it was as a chef that the problems arose with your alcohol, and so are you taking any steps around that?
Yeah, I want to more focus on the earlier meals of the day. Do a breakfast type.
Yeah, rather than a late evening, early morning.
That's right. Yeah.
No, that sounds sensible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you will continue this journey with God. I can see it's
most definitely
a part of your life.
Yep.
You'll continue going out to Longjetty Church.
Yep. I plan to keep going to Dooralong on a Wednesday night for their chapel service.
Yeah.
Keep in touch with those still in program and keep trying to help.
Yeah. Your life is, it says it's a Dooralong Transformation Centre on the sign outside the place, and you're one of those people who's a living testament to that, that God has transformed your life, turned it around 180.
That's right. And look, to be honest, without other participants out there, there's a few special people out there. I won't shout out to you all, you know who yous are.
Yeah.
That have really helped me. Yes, Mr. White, you are one of those special people.
Yeah. Mr. White, it's Scott. If you were listening, I think it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were speaking to Scott. Scott's acting as the chauffeur today, so Scott is in the studio as well, and he's looking really well, so just bring you up to date with Scott.
Yeah.
And Jason, your spirituality is a big part of your life.
That's right,
isn't it?
It's a primary motivator these days.
And how are things with you have 6 children?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
They must be proud of you as you are proud of them.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Yeah, and being able to enjoy them more now is amazing.
Yeah.
You realise when you've spent a bit of time sober how much you did miss the little things.
And that little 11-year-old girl who said to you, "Daddy, why do you have to be drunk to go to bed every night?" She must see a big change in you.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, the week before I went into, it was like 2 nights before I went into detox to go to Dooralong, I stayed with my oldest son. He'll be 20 at the end of the year. And I said, "Oh, come mate, we'll go to the pub, have one last drink with Dad before
Yeah.
I don't drink no more. And
Yeah.
he looked me in the eyes and went, Dad, I don't drink. I saw what it's done to you, mate. Like, I just can't do it.
No.
And it was a bit soul destroying,
Yeah.
but also a bit of a pride moment at the same time.
Yeah. He's got strength of character.
Yes, definitely.
And he's also mature enough to learn from what's been happening around him.
Yeah.
Good on him.
Yeah, but those 4 little souls that still depend on me,
Yeah.
they see a big change.
Yeah.
And when I say the little things, as little as laying in bed and having, my youngest, he just turned 5 on Sunday.
Jumping
Hi
up
Archer, how you going? Taps you on the shoulder. Dad, you awake? You
Yeah.
awake, Dad? You play that little bit of possum.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's gold.
Yeah.
It's gold.
Like previously, you would have had a hangover and be telling him to go away. But
I'm still trying to sleep, mate.
Yeah.
Come on, leave me alone.
But now it's just pure joy.
Yes, definitely.
That's wonderful.
Definitely.
Look, Jason, you've been an inspiration talking to us this morning. Thank you so much for being so open and honest with us. And
it's my pleasure.
It's just terrific. If you can find time to come back to us in 6 or 12 months' time, because I know you're going to keep the communication line open with Dooralong. So perhaps have a word with Chris in 6 or 12 months' time and let us know how things are going for you.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah.
You've been listening to an encore presentation of the Dooralong stories, which can be heard live every Wednesday at 10 a.m. and repeated 8 p.m. Sunday and 1 a.m. Wednesday, right here on 94.9 rema.cc.